All right, well, good morning, seventh grade. We are continuing right along here in chapter 5. And our first part here, this comes in 3 parts, okay? Tell whether the ratios form a proportion, okay? And so when I look at these, basically, they when they talk about forming a proportion, they want to know, are the ratios equivalent? That's essentially what they want to mean. So when they talk about proportions, if we look at this first one, 1 to 2 and 5 to 10, essentially what they want to know is if we set them up as fractions, like a proportion, we would make this 1 over 2 for 1 to 2, 5 over 10 for 5 to 10. And we're going to ask, are these equivalent? Well, we can see we did 1 times 5 to get 5, and it would be 2 times 5 to get 10. So we did the same thing for both the numerator and the denominator, which means that 1 to 2 and 5 to 10 are equivalent. So this would be a yes. Now, if we go to this one, we say, okay, well, 4.5 to 3, is that equivalent to 6 over 9? Well, if I'm going to think here, okay, if I do 3 times 3, that's what makes 9. But if I do 4.5 times 3, and I don't have my calculator handy, so I'm not going to do that right now, but I would say, okay, well, 3 times 5 is 5. Put the 5 down, carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 1 digit after the decimal in the problem, so 1 digit after the decimal in the answer. I would get 13.5, which is not 6. So this second one would definitely be a no. But go to this one, 4 to 6 and 18 to 24. Well, I say, okay, well, if I go 4 to 6, is that equal to 18 to 24? Well, I know that 6 times 4 is what makes 24. And well, 4 times 4 is 16. But this has 18. So these are not equivalent. And this one as well, just like the previous one, would be a no. Well, here we have, okay, 1/2 to 1/4 and 8 to 4. Now here's something that's interesting because it's going to be fractions within fractions, which is not really what we want, but it's okay for the purpose of the proportions. 1/2 to 1/4, is that equivalent to 8 to 4? Now, here's another way to do this, because we know that fractions are division problems, okay? So it doesn't always have to be, what did I do to this denominator, or what did I do to 1/4 to get 4? What did I do to 1/2 to get 8? You can do it that way, but I see with 8 to 4, well, that's going to be a whole number because that's just 8 divided by 4. Well, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So basically then I want to see if 1/2 divided by 1/4 is equal to 2. So I'd have 1/2 divided by 1/4. As I know, that's 1/2 times 4 over 1. And let's kind of just cross that 2 out because it's multiplied by the reciprocal. Well, 1 times 4 is equal to 4. 2 times 1 is equal to 2. And then I have 4 divided by 2. Well, 4 divided by 2 also equals 2. So that tells me in this last one, it is most definitely a yes. All right? So, moving right along. The second part of our assignment says, tell whether X and Y are proportional. Basically, they want to know, when we look at these ordered pairs, when we look at the relationships, are they equal? Okay, am I doing the same thing to X, my input, every time to get Y, my output? Okay, well, I can see, well, I do 1, and I'm thinking, okay, and it's always, when we talk about proportional, it's always multiplication and division whenever we talk about proportional. So it's not adding and subtracting necessarily. It's not just an equation. It's, are they proportional? So I'm saying, okay, well, I did 1 times 2 to get 2, 2 times 2 to get 4, 3 times 2 to get 6, 4 times 2 to get 8. So I did the same thing every time. I multiplied whatever the x value was by 2, and that gave me the y value every time. So that would tell me that here in this first example, this is definitely proportional. Now when I go to the second one, okay, I see all sorts of different things going on. And I say, well, okay, when x is 2, y is 4. So that would be multiplying by 2. But that means that if x is 4, y should be 8, because 4 times 2 is 8. And if x is 6, then 6 times 2, y should be 12. And if x is 8, 8 times 2, y should be 16. And if x is 10, 10 times 2, that should be 20. So it's going to be, when we talk about that, we talk about, are they proportional? No, they are not. Now this could be linear because they're because there's constant things going on, but that's a different lesson. They are not proportional because the fractions, the rates, the ratios are not equivalent. All right? Okay, so we're moving on to the last part. And tell whether the rates form a proportion. Tell whether the rates form a proportion. So we have two different rates here. 2.4 minutes for every 4 laps, 16 minutes for every 20 laps. Okay, so I'm like saying, okay, so if I want to set this up, 2.4 minutes for every 4 laps, is that equal to 16 minutes for every 20 laps? All right, well, let's check this out. Now, there's different ways that I can do this. Now, I could say, well, and so I think to myself, we talked about what did we do to 4 to get 20 or whatever the case may be. Talked about doing the division problem here with a whole number and seeing if the same thing works. But I'm going to show you yet another way to tell whether or not these rates form a proportion. First thing we're going to do here is we're going to simplify this fraction. 16 and 20 can both be divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay? So then I want to say, okay, is that equivalent to 2.4 over 4? All right, so I want to think about that. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, now if these are truly proportional, I want to say that they can be cross-multiplied, which means that 4 times 4, which is equal to 16, should equal the same as 5 times 2.4. Well, let's try 2.4 times 5 and see what we get. 2.4 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Put the 0 down, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. I get 120. There's one digit that comes after the decimal in the problem. So one digit that needs to come after the decimal in the answer. I get 12.0, or just 12. 2.4 times 5 equals 12. 4 times 4 equals 16. If these were truly equivalent, I would have gotten the same answer in both multiplication problems. So the rates do not form a proportion. Just another way to answer those questions. All right, we'll talk to you later, 7th grade. Bye.